Hello, my name is Trent. I'm the Weftrite, and welcome to my studio here in North Carolina. I'm excited to be doing another weaving video today, and it's a topic I've been wanting to talk about for years now, actually, and that is fusible thread. If you're a weaver and you have never tried using fusible thread, I highly recommend it. I use it every time I weave a dish towel to separate all the dish towels on the warp. And I also sometimes use it for the end of scarves, but mostly I use it for sampling. It is brilliant for finishing the edges of sampling so that you can wash them thoroughly. But what fusible thread is the best? I've only found 4 manufacturers of fusible thread, and one of them is new to me today, so I'm excited to try that one out. The ones that I most often use are the Gutermann fusible thread, which I use for dish towels. It's very sturdy and it's great for sampling or a place that is never going to be seen, like within the hem of a towel. It is a little bit thicker and coarser, but it works very well and it is incredibly strong. So you can easily throw things without any other finishing just directly into the washing machine. This is the Wonderfil fusible thread. I'm going to put a link for all of these down below so that you can maybe order these if you desire. The Wonderfil is very fine and it kind of disappears, and I have found it to not be the sturdiest for edges that are not also finished later. So I wouldn't necessarily use this for a sample, but I might use this on the end of a piece that will get a twisted fringe or will definitely be hemmed. It can work. One of the benefits is because it's so fine, it kind of disappears, and we'll see that later. The very first one that I ever bought when I first experimented with fusible threads is Charlotte's Fusible Web. I love this. It's really great. It's a little thinner, a little finer, and a little more transparent than the Gutermann, but it works very well. It's kind of a halfway between the Gutermann and the Wonderfil. And then the last one is one I haven't tried before, which is Floriani. Comes in a little mini cone, and I'm really excited to see how that works. So without further ado, I'm going to weave up a few tiny samples. We're going to press those with the iron, and then we're going to get back to the table to check out how effective they are. So I should be able to just put my spool of thread into my shuttle as if it were a bobbin. Pull that through, and now I can, didn't have that in there. Now I can use my fusible thread just like it was a regular bobbin of thread. I usually do at least 4 passes of the fusible thread. The fusible thread is very, very strong, so I recommend cutting it as opposed to trying to break it with your hand. I'm going to weave a little bit more with just some cotton thread. This is a synthetic warp with metallic yarn. I used this in my honeycomb weave video, so if you're interested in seeing that video, I'll link it here and down below. So this one, the Floriani, obviously is going to have to be wound onto a bobbin because we can't put this into a shuttle. So I will test that separately. But one note I want to point out is the Charlotte's Fusible Web has a different kind of spool as compared to both the Gutermann and the Wonderfil. And how it's different is it has a notch right here. No, you're not going to be able to see that clearly. Let me see if I can get a little bit closer. It has a notch right there. And if you put this into a bobbin, I know from personal experience that the thread will catch on it. So you do need to wind this onto a separate bobbin as well. All right, I'm going to do all of the samples and I'll see you back at the ironing board. All right, it's time to iron. I'm at my tiny little ironing table and I have set my iron to 2, which for me is the nylon setting. I found that I can iron on a much higher temperature for most of these, but the Wonderfil one melts pretty severely. So I'm going to, hopefully I don't melt that one with this iron, but I'm going to start on this edge and slowly progress. I do have the steam on. It's probably not necessary. I know that's not brilliant cinematography, but I hope you can see that these two have almost entirely disappeared. So let's see how that ends up once we cut it and see if it frays. All right, let's see how our sample fared. This is the first one we did, which was the Gutermann fusible thread. I cut right along that line. All right, here is the test. You can see how easily this fabric frays because the polyester's fibers are quite slick, and the Gutermann has passed. It is very, very sturdy. Now let's try our Wonderfil. You can see that the Wonderfil has all but disappeared. It just looks like the warp thread. And at that low setting, it appears to prevent fraying. It does feel a little bit looser than the first, which I think is the most sturdy, but it does its job. Warning, as I will show you here, if you heat it up too high, it will just entirely melt. Now let's try the Charlotte's Fusible Web. This is another one that the white color seemed to disappear. So you're seeing more of the warp color. All right, that one seemed to do the job as well. Let's cut the final one. This was the Floriani. It looks identical to the Gutermann. I'm imagining it will perform very similar. It does a pretty good job. I was able to get a little more fraying. I don't know if I can show you that. Getting a little bit of fraying there. But it would definitely hold up until you hemmed something. Yeah. You see that fraying is happening. So let's hear the results. So there you have it. I think for me the winner is clear, and that is still my favorite, which is the Gutermann. I mainly use this for sampling in dish towels, and the Gutermann is very sturdy for sampling. I don't have to do any further finishing. I can just throw it in the washing machine. It'll be fine. And for the dish towels, it gets folded in with the hem, so you never see it anyway. And what I love is ease of use factor, is you can just plop this directly in to your shuttle and you don't have to worry about winding it off. A very similar one would be the Florian. I wouldn't necessarily recommend this. Had a little bit of fraying. So I would use it for dish towels, but I definitely wouldn't recommend it for sampling. And then for finishing the edges of scarves or other things that are going to also be twisted fringe or some other treatment, knotted fringe, then I would definitely go with the Wonderfil. And the only reason I'm enjoying the Wonderfil more than the Fusible Charlotte Web is I can put this directly in a bobbin or if I can use this as a bobbin, put it directly in the shuttle, whereas this, because of the notch, it gets caught. So I hope you experiment with Fusible Thread. If you've done it before or have any other brands that I've never heard of, please comment below. I absolutely love to hear from you. And also, I am trying to raise money for buying a new camera for this channel. I don't receive any ad revenue off of this channel. I do this because I love doing it. So if you'd like to donate, there's a Buy Me a Coffee link below. Thank you very much. Happy weaving, happy crafting, and we'll see you next time.